All right, today we're tackling a problem that so many of us feel, every single day, but it's really hard to put into words. The housing crisis. We all know it's a mess, but the why? Well, that's a puzzle we're going to try to piece together. I mean, we see the headlines, right? We feel it in our wallets. We hear the stories from our friends and family who are just trying to find a place to live. It seems like pretty much everyone agrees the system just isn't working for a huge number of people. And that's the real mystery, isn't it? If everybody agrees it's broken, why does it feel like we're all just stuck in the mud? It's like the entire system is frozen solid. So what is really going on here? Well, the source material we're digging into today offers this really powerful way of looking at it. It's not just a broken machine. It's more like a Mexican standoff. You know, that scene in a movie where everyone's pointing a gun at everyone else. Nobody can make a move without risking total disaster. So that brings us to the next pretty logical question. In this super tense standoff, who are the players? Who's actually waiting for who to blink first? And once we stop trying to find a single villain, a much more interesting and honestly, a more accurate picture starts to emerge. And here they are. This shows that the problem isn't just one group. It's the whole shebang. You've got builders, landowners, investors, buyers, renters, and politicians all caught in this deadlock. And every single one of them is waiting on the others. Let's break down why one by one. Okay, first up, the builders. You gotta put yourself in their shoes. Building new homes is a massive financial gamble. We're talking years of work and millions, sometimes billions of dollars on the line. If they invest all that capital to build and the market suddenly dips, they could get completely wiped out. So they wait. They wait until prices are high and stable enough that they feel safe. Next, you've got the landowners. For them, land isn't just dirt, it's a financial asset. And it's an asset that just seems to get more valuable every single day. So if that land is probably going to be worth more next year than it is today, what's the most logical thing to do? Well, you just wait. Selling now could mean leaving a fortune on the table later. And the investors? Well, investors play the game of risk, but they absolutely hate uncertainty. And right now, with interest rates, inflation, and government policies all kind of up in the air, the housing market is a sea of question marks. So they keep their money on the sidelines, just waiting for a clear, predictable sign to jump back in. Now this probably hits close to home for a lot of us. Potential buyers are completely trapped. They're watching prices climb faster than they could ever possibly save, and the goalposts just keep moving further and further away every single month. So what do? They wait, hoping the market will finally cool off, but it just seems to run away from them. And then you have renters, who, let's be honest, are often the most powerless group in this whole standoff. They're getting squeezed by rising rents, they have fewer and fewer options, and they're watching that dream of ever owning a home just drift into fantasy. They are just waiting for anything to shift, for any kind of relief at all. And finally, the politicians. Making a really big, bold move on housing, that's politically explosive. Any huge change risks upsetting homeowners, who are a massive and very vocal group of voters, or it risks creating some kind of unpredictable chaos. The political pain is instant, so the safest play is to talk a big game, but ultimately, just wait for someone else to take the heat. So here's the crucial takeaway from all this. None of these groups thinks they're the problem. From their own point of view, every single one of them is acting rationally. They're being cautious, they're being sensible. But when you add it all up, the collective result of all this individual caution is total, system-wide paralysis. Nothing happens. Now, this whole standoff isn't happening in a vacuum. It is created and fueled by one fundamental condition: scarcity. The simple fact that there aren't enough homes to go around fundamentally changes how every single person behaves inside the system. When something as essential as housing is scarce, the whole system becomes incredibly fragile or brittle. And the source we're looking at uses the perfect analogy for this. It becomes like a game of Jenga. Every single decision feels connected to every other decision, and every move feels like it could be the one that topples the entire tower. And because housing touches every single part of our lives, our jobs, our families, our financial security, the stakes are just unbelievably high. So the fear of making the wrong move, of being the one who pulls the block that crashes the whole system, that fear becomes completely and utterly paralyzing for everyone involved. Okay, so if the system is gridlocked by fear, why can't we just, fix it? This brings us to why all the common solutions we hear about all the time seem to consistently fail to break this deadlock. You've heard this one a million times, right? Just let the free market work its magic. It's an appealing idea that supply and demand will just sort everything out eventually. But in a standoff this complicated, can it really? Well, the short answer from the source is no. Markets are fantastic at responding to prices. But this isn't just a price problem, it's a massive coordination problem. No single builder can solve a national housing shortage, and no single buyer can bring down prices. It would take millions of people acting together, and that's just not what markets are built to do. So if the market can't solve it, what about the politicians? This table explains their dilemma perfectly. If a government makes a big change to housing, the people who lose out are immediate, and trust me, they are very loud about it. But the winners, like, say, future home buyers, they're a scattered group whose benefits won't even be felt for years. So the most logical political move is to just tinker around the edges, which of course keeps the standoff exactly where it is. So if the old answers don't work, where do we go? This is where we pivot from just diagnosing the problem to actually understanding the solution. And the key, it turns out, isn't finding someone to blame, it's about fundamentally changing the rules of the game. So what on earth does changing the payoffs actually mean? Well, it means redesigning the whole system to change the incentives. It means making it so that waiting and hoarding are the risky options, and making action, like building, selling, and buying, the most rational, the safest, and the most rewarding choice for everyone. And this is how you break the trap. A standoff only ends when these three things happen. First, waiting has to start feeling more dangerous than acting. Second, moving first can't feel like you're just signing up for a punishment. And third, the whole system has to start believing that making progress is finally less risky than just staying put. So let's bring it all home. The housing crisis isn't sticking around because our system is full of bad people. It's not because of ignorance, and it's not even really about a lack of money. We've been blaming the players when we really should have been looking at the rules of the game itself. And this leaves us with the one question that really, truly matters. It's the question that moves us past the blame game and toward actual options. We have to stop asking, whose fault is this? And we need to start asking, what kind of policies, what kind of system would it actually take to make it safe for everyone, the builders, the buyers, the politicians, all of them, to finally put their guns down and move forward, together. Now that is the real starting point for a solution. And it's a question we all need to be asking.